This podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liability, criminal prosecution, and the wrath of the tall man.
Boy!
Hey, let's talk about you, the ID10T community events at ID10T.com, like Russ Stevens, a.k.a.
Cat Bus Russ,
who has started a podcast called 90 for Chill, which Russ says is dedicated to movies with a runtime between 74 and 99 minutes, the time frame that I feel is ideal. Russ, I could not agree with you more. That is a fantastic idea. Russ goes on to say there are times you need a cinematic fix but don't have time for the latest Scorsese masterpiece or offering from a comic book universe. There's also times when you need a conclusion to prevent a binge costing you a whole night. My guests and I try to follow these guidelines as we chat up features that are definitely worth your time and are beyond easy to make time for. 90 for Chill, the podcast, can be found on all major podcast platforms at 90forchill.com, and that's spelling out 90, N-I-N-E-T-Y, 4 F-O-R, chill. So there you go. Thank you so much for sharing, Russ. Really great idea for a podcast. Events at ID10T.com for everyone else.
Hello, my name is Russ. I do a movie podcast about outrageous movies, and a friend of mine wanted to do Young Guns, and I thought, well, it's kind of historically accurate, so what makes it outrageous? And, it took me about 30 minutes, and oh yeah, Jack Palance is in this in his prime crazy period. How is it like working with Jack?
How's it working with Jack Palance?
It was, well, first of all, it's an iconic actor. And then there also is the fact that we were really young and he was not. And he had just famously done one-arm push-ups at the Academy Awards, so we all wanted to see that. I wish I had actually spent more time with Mr. Palance and kind of, because I would expect that there were amazing stories to tell. I was just kind of young and maybe not as reverent as I should have been and as I hope I was. But it was also, it was a tough movie to make in the context, like, horses are 2,000 pounds and they're real. Right? And so Jack Palance fell off a horse going up a hill, steep climb, broken elbow. A couple other actors got hurt as well. I love the fact that at the end of the movie they said no animals were hurt in this film, but the humans were fucking brutalized. Those are kinds of the things that I remember. I wish I had spent more time with him because I think that, this was a guy who spanned 40 years working as a professional actor in kind of a really glorious time of Hollywood and a real advanced time of progress with regards to cinema. So I think when you bring up his name, I regret that I didn't kind of spend more time with him and ask more questions. Because I certainly wrote down.
It's interesting though, because Terrence Stamp was a guy who could hang, and he did. And he would come to dinners and whatnot. Mr. Palance was a little more to himself. The first day that he worked, I was getting propped up, and it would take us a half an hour to get all the props on. With the gun belts and the knives and the sashes and this and the that, and so
you had a lot of props.
I had a lot of props, and so. Peter Bankins. I was in the middle of it. Jack Palance walks up and he looks at me. I was like, yeah. And I step off, so that, he can, And then Jack took, like 20 minutes to pick out a gun. He didn't pick it right away. And so at the end, I kind of came up and he didn't know who I was at all. And I did my spiel about, oh my gosh, it's such an honor and pleasure to work with you. You're a legend, blah, blah, blah. And I get to the end of my gushing and he goes, yes. And walked off.
Thank you.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll. Bring the noise.
Hello and welcome to I Dig Crazy Flicks presents 90 for Chill, the podcast with Catbus Russ. I am your host, Catbus Russ, and what better way to start a podcast off than to have a story where Kiefer Sutherland swears? That was my experience at ATL Comic Convention in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Georgia World Congress Center, and yeah, it was a load of fun. It ended up being perhaps the most fruitful, perhaps the most damaging convention I've gone to, at least in terms of the I Dig Crazy Flicks brand. In other words, it's going to be I'm obviously not going to list in the title of this episode, Kiefer Sutherland cursing, I didn't ask for permission to record that, and I'll be upfront about that. But, there's going to be 200 people that back me up saying, yeah, it happened, cool. And as it turns out, over the remaining 2 days of the con, you can check out my bonus episode about day one of the con. I think, just things kept developing for me and really ended up being worthwhile, more than I expected, and just had a lot of fun. And let's get on to day two. I'll throw my movie review in for the hidden. And thankfully, going and listening to a David Lynch panel on the Friday allowed me to recall that the name is Kyle MacLachlan, not McLaughlin. I think I may say that in that review. But I digress. Day two of the con, and I just need to grab my phone to get some notes. Of course, or I could, I'm doing it on an Apple. I should be able to pull them up from here. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so the day, that was pretty much how my day started on Saturday. I didn't have any panels that I was taking a part in, as a panelist, I should say. So it started with the Young Guns reunion with Kiefer Sutherland and Lou Diamond Phillips. One of the first questions they got asked was hey, what stupid nicknames did you guys get? And, of course, you got Reefer Sutherland, which is about the funniest, of course, for Kiefer. And for Lou Diamond Phillips, he just brought up the Lucky Charms and how he was Blue Diamond Phillips. Sorry if my Irish accent was bad on that. And, the other story is about Kiefer Sutherland regretting getting himself killed in the second feature, because Young Guns 3 is happening, people. Emilio Estevez has the script with the original director. So he just, Kiefer Sutherland, in 1990, I believe it was, pretty much just felt like, no, I don't want to get tied into being responsible and held up to Young Guns 5. And of course, he's always coming up with ideas for a new season of 24. So, yeah, he's come around to the concepts of sequels. Just good money there. They said the most fun on set was Charlie Sheen, which is weird because I imagine he had the shortest amount of time on set. And ironic, since that's probably his least fun character I've seen Charlie Sheen play. So, funny about that. And let's see. Oh, stories about how and I don't think we covered that with Andrew TD, the Couchman Bakes on TikTok, when he came on the show to talk about Young Guns, that they put the trailer out 2 weeks into shooting. So they shot the opening credits, essentially, opening titles, and then yep, we're going to put that as a trailer. And we did talk about how short a shoot that was. Kiefer Sutherland gives some acting pointers, you got to go put yourself out there to the directors you want to work with, like how he did so with Clint Eastwood for Juror Number 4. They talk about mistaken identities. Lou Diamond Phillips says he gets mistaken for Oscar De La Hoya a lot, and tells a story about, an interviewer doing that to him on TV, and the station manager just trying to cut it off, no. And Kiefer Sutherland, lots of stories about being mistaken for Kevin Bacon. The only thing Kiefer really was not candid about was, he mentioned being recognized in jail before, and he wouldn't tell us those jail stories. And the second panel I went to that night was, and I do need to grab my phone just so I can get that information. Probably put it on vibrate too, so that we don't, get too much interference. So let me just place a brief pause.
Your cable TV is experiencing difficulties. Please do not panic. Resist the temptation to read or talk to loved ones. Do not attempt sexual relations, as years of TV radiation have left your genitals withered and useless.
Well, I'll be damned.
Alright, I'm back with my iPhone 15 Plus in hand, and the panel I checked out after that, and I did get to go around the floor. I'll talk about some of the stuff I saw and picked up there. Hopefully I'll grab some business cards. May have to save that for after this, just so I don't have a second pause trying to dig out another cool Simpsons soundbite. You know what I mean. So the second panel I attended was the Hollywood versus Comics Smackdown, which featured producer Rick Alexander and the author of the comic book Two Guns, which of course was made into a Denzel Washington, Mark Wahlberg feature. I think 2008 was when they said it. And basically it's just a story about trying what goes into getting your comic book property made into a movie or television show. Stephen Grant talked about how he had a project, I think it may have just been called X, and sorry if I've already screwed that up, but basically how that was supposed to be a lead-out show from the X-Files, which lost out to Millennium after they shot the pilot. And you find out about, 85% of the pilots that are shot don't make it to, don't get picked up, which is kind of sad. A lot of stuff out there. Again, maybe why I'm just the 90-minute movie guy, because, well, might as well close your story up, I suppose. But I digress about that. But it really gets into the nitty-gritty about how you sell it, and you take an upfront option fee, and you hope you have enough time to renew that until it finally gets to principal photography when they pay you the full purchase price. And just going through my notes, because, I think I could have, I got some ideas on how to try to work Main Event of the Dead into something. I did meet a comic book artist who's trying his own, basically self-promoting it right now. I think maybe just the web. I'm going to get his info, though. Very cool guy. I will say that. Followers. His username is Melanadia. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Melanadia. A comic book he's writing. Okay, well that's just his comic book, I suppose, the title, and you can find it at MELANATIA.com. He's currently in the Kickstarter stage, but this is a place to ask. So how does he get it on his own without really having all the tools that an established comic book artist would have? And we did talk a little shop. So thanks for checking out at least hitting me up. Give me that follow on Instagram at CatBusRuss. I'm not a big fan of the platform. I've said that many a time on this podcast. Just hate Meta. Sorry. MySpace was fine enough. I don't know. It was more of a creative platform. I think Facebook's just gotten very simple, and Instagram is even simpler. And it's like we've broken apart what MySpace was letting us do all the time. And that Mark Zuckerberg, well, I'm cursing the fact that I let Kiefer Sutherland get his F-bomb in this one. So, yeah, it was as I say, interesting panel. as I say, at least tells me the ideas of how things work, or don't work. And, the fears of... It used to be, I guess, if you wanted to get your film made, well, you could get... they would send out... Because you can't give unsolicited material to a producer. You have to go through a lawyer to go and try selling it to them. Has a professional reputation, knows what they're doing. So many steps making it difficult for the artist to advance their property. But, it can be done. So I would say if you can find... maybe I would say Rick Alexander more than Stephen Grant. If you can find them online, they might be able to provide even more answers to the questions. To get myself an idea of everything. As I say, you have the upfront option that gets renewed several times, set amount of time. If it gets put to principal photography within that time, you get the purchase price. Otherwise, you just get those options until they quit renewing. If it doesn't get picked up at the expiration of that, then you're not getting your project as free, I guess. But they used to send out administrative assistants, I guess, to comic book stores to find new properties. You're going to have up and coming producers, quote unquote, who will try saying, "Hey, I'm a producer. I want to make your product into a feature. What can we do?" And they don't work for any agency, any studio. They're just trying to build a library up. And then you have to worry about celebrities who are trying to build up their own library of material. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio's name attached to it. Surely it'll be made. And no, they're just buying up property. So it's a very... I guess what it really came down to, the key right now is just make short form self-produced projects online. And when I say projects online, pretty much it's got to be video. So, short, make your proof of concept and get the word spread on it, and hopefully somebody will pick it up. Then when it comes to proof of concept, that's where you get the literary management in there, a lawyer, and you go from there. So a very educational panel. So then I got around to the floor, and what's really been cool is, and I saw this in Lansing, 3D printing stuff is getting a lot cheaper. So I bought myself this, cool, I remember taking a photo with my Love Stinks Care Bear mask on at for the photo on the Capital City Comic Con. I am still hung up on it's a comic convention here, but it's a Comic Con everywhere else type thing. I imagine maybe C2E2 is comic. It's comic convention entertainment expo. So, yeah, I don't know, but Capital City Comic Con, I had that Grumpy Bear mask on for the photo I put on the website. ididcrazyflicks.com to promote that episode, and I figured, well, I got to get a new one. Of course, for the bonus episode I did for ATL Comic Convention Day 1, I had my Murder Mitten Survivors Club mask on. For that picture, I kind of want to make it a little mysterious. I don't want to give my whole self out there, at least in terms of people finding the show on a podcast app. If you go to ididcrazyflicks.com, I put myself out there for the About page, so I'm not afraid, It's just kind of weird, I guess. Just, I want to be more of a character, I suppose. And, walking around with a cat bus, bucket hats, helping out a lot. But, so I figured I need a mask to, different kind of mask. So I found a mask I think that I can take to a goth night perchance. I have to use my black Uniglitter, a company that was there, to promote it, to make it work with my style. at least allows me to wear some purples now instead of just reds. Maybe some oranges, I suppose. But, goth nights could be a lot more fun, or they could be a lot more troublesome, I suppose. Won't find out till I try, so just got to make sure, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to make the Rose Bowl Bat Factory Goth Night this month. And that's on Thursday, the 31st. Last Thursday of the month at the Rose Bowl in Urbana. Industrial and goth music. Lots of fun. Promise you that. Well, never mind my maudlin post stories, but that's just a lonely person, I guess. So, I digress. So I didn't really get them. Get their name down. They got the $30 from me. As I say, they're getting more affordable now. So that's kind of great. We can get more vendors. And that is something I think the floor was lacking, really. Because, we had Ultra Savers, and then you had N20 Savers, which were really nice, very lightweight, very pretty affordable. And they said they were going to have lightsaber battles. I didn't catch any of them, but I'm just saying that, okay, well, they should be durable then. So that's kind of cool. And you know what? My phone, my book bag, maybe I have the business cards there. Does not seem like it. I'm just going to keep talking. Hopefully you'll keep hearing me as I go on and on and on. They're kind of all over the place. I think a lot of them are coming from... it's a bear with me. I believe there's a... Oh, no. I got them on my phone a few of the places because, flying in to Atlanta, I was not going to buy a lot of stuff just because I had enough trouble getting out of Atlanta with the stuff I had, I should say. They went and decided to check both my bags there. Not in Indy. But, so just going through my history, I suppose, will get me there. There was a cool shop that specialized in basically wuzzles, I suppose, and mashing up animals, create new stuffed animals, which seem pretty comfy, I guess. Their company was Meg's Mashables, so check them out. That is, I just got their link tree, but Meg's Mashables, I should say. And, again, website designer, get yourself a website. No offense, Meg, I'm sorry. But their slogan is puns, butts, and bleeps. They do have a Patreon. Let me check out. So their Instagram is Meg's, MEGS, Mashables, MASHABLES, all one word. And, look their stuff up. Lots of fun. It'll take you to their link tree, which, I don't know. Now I look at it. Their website, megsmashables.com. So, we're just making it harder on ourselves with different apps. Like, I did meet somebody after I did my podcast for Brick. It's going to be a podcast, Tim Avers. He knows that. He was talking about signing waivers and such, and I guess part of me for not, just saying, I'm going to post it up. I should have probably had waivers ready, and we'll get to day 3 for that one. But, there's a new app called Blink, BLINQ, where you can create your own business cards and pass it on to people. That's something I got from a Charles McFall, rock god of podcasting. I think he was doing a lot of, he may have been the guy who hosted the Kiefer Sutherland, Lou Diamond Phillips panel. So, but, he's got a lot of stuff out there. So, trying to see if he's got an actual link. He was at Dragon Con, I can send that, but you hit me up, maybe I can pass it on to you with the Blink business card. So I guess that's kind of cool, but again, I'd rather you get a QR producer, and get to your website and go from there. That's me. That is the 2002 web designer. So let's see. There was a cool hot sauce place. I finally decided to just try the hot sauces. Let's see if I got there. Probably not. So, not immediately. Let me see if there's any way, because I'm just checking it on my phone. Let's see. No. Geez. Now you're making me want to switch to Chrome. Yeah, you just can't win, I suppose. I think it was Bob's Hot Sauces. Just gonna try Google that. Bob's Spicy World. So at least I got to the website via when I was going through everything. So they had really great tasting hot sauces, more based around honey as the sweetener instead of straight up sugar. An excellent sriracha hot sauce, a very fine ghost pepper one, and it resulted in me needing another mask just to buying that mask so I don't have to worry about my snot once those opened up. So mask, tried some hot sauces. Did buy a bag. I can't remember the name of the. I'm sorry about this. I just don't want to pause, get up, and move around again. I'll see if they're just laying around here. Sorry for the extra noise. They're probably on another table, and I'm sorry about that in the kitchen. Yeah, I know, it's a one bedroom. It's not that large, but yeah. But you're going to see me around, I suppose. You'll see it. But I had bought a cool little bag. That's it. That's how you do it, Russ. You just search. All right. Oh, no, not Bob's Spicy World. Itty Bitty Kitty Committee. Okay, let me see. Well, I guess we'll just have to put tote bag. So, yeah, being Atlanta, the temperature, the humidity, I knew I needed to go and get myself another bag to put my clean clothes in to keep them away from my laundry bag for the trip home. So a lot of people have done the itty bitty kitty committee bag. I'm sorry that I didn't get the name of the group, the person who created that. Oh, hold on. It was on Etsy. I see it on Etsy. Let me visit. All right, so this is from Ni Mochi Pins, NIMOCHI Pins on Etsy. So there you go, Allie. Let's get you back on the cons, get you back in the nerd scene, and I'll need somebody to help me sell stuff because who knows how many T-shirts I can actually sell. So, and yeah, I need somebody to cut in on the expenses of buying a table at some point. And that's the next step. And there was there's a gentleman ran there who's done a he's very kind of hypocritical guy, so it's probably a good thing I don't immediately have his contact information. And I'm sorry I don't have the contact information. These guys who did these great little fake teeth for like $30, you could speak with them, so get your fangs on, what have you. I have their card. I'll look into them. So, because another goth night thing for me, dare I say. So they were, but a lot of custom work they promised to do. Who knows? Let's see. Junkyard Nap. That's not it. I'm sorry. Did not think that deep into trying to help other people out just because of that. So, there was another place that was selling some cool scented candles, not like these prayer candles that are a standard from, and I had just their sticker laying around, so bear with me. Just reaching for it. Illuminidal. They do some great, that's ILLUMINIDOL.com. They do these great little prayer candles. I kind of and that's just one of those things. They weren't at this con. They were in Indiana. That's where I bought that. And yeah, there's cons all over the place, but I didn't see them at Capital City Con. Usually have somebody selling candles. The only problem with the candles is they're not really scented. So when I found people who were selling a scented candle called Dive Bar with my favorite character from Has Been Hotel on it, Hunch, I think it is. Jeez, yeah, real fan of the show, Russ. You can't think of that. Okay, let me see. IMDb. The character is voiced by Keith David, and bartender, demon in hell. Just really desperate for the next season, and I know, that you have the. Geez, I don't know. I'd really like to see a new season come sooner than later. But it's an animated show. I think I've talked about it. Husk is the name of the character. So it's just a white little jar with a very sweet smelling candle. So that's kind of all I'm really looking for, I suppose. So I just want, give me a cool design and give me a decent scent. Like, it's easier to pay $10 for them instead of, waiting for a sale at Bath and Body Works, I suppose. So, let's see, mask. Basically, the mask was also something I felt I needed to get just so I can go and wear it in front of the balloon animal predator display. And I mean predator in the fun way, as in, I think they're called the Yang Chow, but the alien species from the Predator universe. There we go. So yeah, that'll probably be that should be, I guess, the image, or I don't know, save that for I got my logo button I got to put out there too. But yeah, that was fun just dressing up for that. It was fun checking out the Atlanta ECHL team's booth. Kind of disappointed they're not playing Bloomington this year, the Bloomington Bison. Didn't catch their inaugural season. And so I didn't see them on the schedule. I'm always worried, like, oh gosh, please tell me they're still playing. But should have asked my nephew about that, how the crowds were. I know they got a beer for him, but Danville's Dashers have a beer for him. So just makes me more or less regret Peoria. Come on, you have a team called the Distillers now? Well, every so often the Peoria Chiefs are the Distillers, but yeah, it's weird state of minor league baseball, minor league sports in general. Like, every year the Rivermen are either the, last 2 seasons ago now, they were the Central Illinois Flying Carp, and last season, that was probably 3 seasons ago. The season prior was the Peoria Penicillin. So they, lots of fun with minor leagues. There's a great Last Week Tonight with John Oliver story about that. But, that's a good transition. Well, I shouldn't say that. I should say there was one more thing I did, or meant I just was out to do, and that was talk to Bai Ling, Chinese-American actress, best known for her role as Micah in The Crow. And, I just had to work up the nerve to talk to her, and that was probably a good thing. Hint, hint. So, I just told, did my typical bar thing, like, there's where somebody else's conversation, where to insert yourself. Oh, pretty eyes. I hope I did not say it with that accent attempt. To my credit, I do know Mandarin as well as she knew English when she shot The Crow. I found that out. But, and she is a handful. Now, and, a lot of it will hint at, but, man, still looks great for her age. Took me a while to find that because IMDb has quit putting down years of birth on bios. So, but she is 14 years my senior. I'm sorry, 13 and a half years my senior. Okay? But dang, she's just a load of fun. She's very, like, I was just trying to say, I do a podcast about crazy music. Oh, and she immediately points to photos she was selling of herself from Crank, and that was 2009. And gosh, I mean, she is fit. Let's just say that. And that was, it was easier talking to her, I guess, than it was Joe Hendry back at C2E2. Like, I probably could have gone in house with him, but he also had somebody, a handler. Oh, curse the WWE. What can I say? More and more about. But yeah, I was just telling her about the podcast. I told her how my mom loved her in the movie The Breed, which I have spoken on this podcast. It's in one of the vampire episodes where vampires in the title. She's great in it. Bokeem Woodbine is great in it. Adrian Paul, the reason Mom watched the movie, he's doing his best, but it's trying to make Matrix and vampires, and no, it was not shot on such a budget to do so. I think it was a Anchor Bay movie, so designed to be shown on Stars. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I've seen some good ones. Good ones with Dean effing Cain. So that, there's always talent out there. What can I say? And I shouldn't pick on Dean Cain. I'm not going to pick on the Thirst, not the Chan-wook Park movie. The Thirst was a vampire movie with Jeremy Sisto. I love the supporting actors in that. Jeremy Sisto, Adam Baldwin, and Adam Baldwin has a reputation of being a little bit on the ironically right side. So, at least kids can learn about irony now, because the right is far from it. So, all right. So, I concluded that day, and that's the reason why I didn't have a bonus podcast for day 2, by checking out the Atlanta United FC game against Charlotte FC. And yes, I did have a conversation with some of the Charlotte fans as we're walking out of the game. Atlanta lost 3-2. About the fact that your city's abbreviation is CLT. And yep, can you find it on a map was his question. And yes, we went to the classic Jalen Silent Bob Strikes Back jokes, trying to watch out, make sure there were no kids around, or at least, say, give us 10 yards before, we finished that kind of stuff. The fun thing with football, and I think it's an American thing just because we want it to be a sport, sorry to say football instead of soccer, it's weird because it was originally named soccer by the English, and they have weird names for a bunch of games, snooker and all that. So I can see why we just broke it down to the simple things when it crossed the English Channel, I suppose. So that's it's interesting again seeing. So I would say they've got stadium. I mean, they're playing in the Mercedes-Benz Dome, which is designed for the Atlanta Falcons. And I find it nuts. Well, I guess, if you keep the rent low, I know, which is interesting because, Beyonce, they probably really charged her for that the prior week. Talking to one of my Lyft drivers. And so that was, but I would say the crowd was probably 30,000, which is pretty big, honestly, but, the building can hold probably 80 to 90. So, but, there's the football fans at one end of the pitch just doing their, drumming and partying throughout the, chanting. I really kind of wish it was a smaller venue just so we can have that feel you see when you watch the English Premier League on television. And reminds me I need to see how England did in the Women's European Championship. They were in the semifinals against Italy today. Recording this on Tuesday. So, and I still got to watch a movie after I do this, so I better try to get this all wrapped up a little bit. So it's interesting watching the game, though, just because they did so many things to try making it seem like it's an event. Like, pyro when the goals are scored, smoke when the teams are coming out, all the video wall stuff, incorporating Bill Goldberg into, like, he's a state treasure down there, which, gosh, I hope the internet, Georgia internet, very weird, just because you need a VPN to watch pornographic material on your phone or iPad. Regardless, like, I had to turn the VPN on, so, like, because I don't want to register with anybody. Not that I'm watching anything disgusting, it's just that, like, come on, people, it's I know you're trying to protect the kids, but it's just silly. That you want my data, I'm not going to give personal information when, hey, you can just ask Google, all right? I'm not giving it to the state directly. So, Tinder didn't work out for me down there, but, and I kind of, previous night got into an argument with a girl about how British and Scottish are the same thing, but, like, all Scots are Brits, but not all Brits are Scots. So don't tell me Scottish and British actors. Like, no, it's all the same. Say Scottish and English or Welsh. Don't exclude the Welsh. So, but it was a fun game. I ended up spending $125, really after tax, $130 on a secondary jersey for Atlanta United FC. So it's a nice little blue kit, yellow trim, and I did get it personalized with Cat Bus Russ on the back, and I heard it from the woman who lined it all up. Like, that was tough to get on there. And it's like, there are plenty of 10-letter last names. I say that growing up in a town where the majority of the population was originally German, and probably still is of German descent. So, yeah. I'm just saying, if it was Schwarzenegger, you would figure a way to do it. Provided it was, a big-ass Austrian and not a sub-200-pound, 5'5" kid from the Midwest. So, had a lot of fun there. It was first time ever buying 2 alcoholic beverages for myself that was not a beverage and a shot. So, double fisting. And, had a lot of fun. So, and, I think that's where we're going to just let me get a breather. Let me get a breather. And I will talk about day 3, where all my panels kick off, really. Aside from the brick panel the day prior.
Now available on video cassette.
I want this car.
Jonathan Miller would never do anything to break the law.
I need the keys. Thank you. Bye.
He is a very fine, very honest gentleman.
Something strange is happening to some ordinary people.
Yeah, that's Jack. Real nice man. What'd he do, rob a bank?
He's a law-abiding taxpayer minding his own business. Killed 12 people, wounded 23 more, stole 6 cars, most of them Ferraris. If anybody deserves to go that way, sure in the hell's him.
I've worked homicide for 13 years. I have never seen anything like this. I want to know why it takes 15 shots to take down some zoned-out stripper. Why 3 law-abiding citizens all of a sudden go crazy and start killing people. Are we talking spacemen here?
Something gets in his way, he kills it.
Finds a body, gets inside, uses it to move around.
Try for one on the tire. Do you think this is easy? Why don't you try?
career in the police didn't really prepare you for this, did it?
The Hidden.
You think it's over now? You're wrong.
So I concluded my day off midnight movie, The Hidden, from 1987, about an hour ago. Sadly, I was working on my website as well. I did crazyflix.com, and I needed information from my Spotify for Creators account, and that felt like a 30-minute experience with a chat bot who could have just told me to log out and log back in to get the information I needed. So I would like to have a competent company that is reasonably priced and has more talent than the IT crowd. I digress. So The Hidden from 1987, starring Kyle MacLachlan and Michael Nouri, is a really fun flick, very fast-paced. If anything, that may have been a detriment because you don't get too much depth once it really starts rolling into our characters. But you could see it also be an inspiration for films like Fallen with Denzel Washington, John Goodman, Embeth Davidtz, Elias Koteas, Donald Sutherland. It's a film that I've watched and tried to really get into, but I think too pretentious, so it goes overboard and we got to give this story, the concept of body jumping, more depth. They just keep it pretty simple in The Hidden. It's a New Line Cinemas feature or New Line Pictures, New Line Films, whatever. It was the house that Freddy built in that era, and it's a story of an alien who is, well, let me just start from the beginning. It opens with a seemingly mild-mannered man shooting up a bank and then leading the police on a high-speed chase in his stolen Porsche, gets shot, burnt, exploded, somehow survived it all, and then suddenly his hospital roommate rises from near death and continues the cycle, and it's up to Kyle MacLachlan and Michael Nouri to figure out how this is happening and how they could possibly stop it and who the heck Kyle MacLachlan really is. So it ends up being a lot of fun. As I said, it's very fast-paced. I think the editing was great, and it's got those classic flares I like when it comes to violence, dare I say. Basically, when it comes to bystanders, like during the police chase at the beginning, there's even a scene where there's a death race tribute with a wheelchair, and there's even a bit where you have two guys walking with a sheet of plate glass, and yeah, it's not as smooth as it should be, or at least the old movie cliche, like in Loaded Weapon 1, where, somebody just goes through the glass. No, we got collateral damage. So, fun with that. Doesn't pull any punches with the violence. And, this is a movie where you have, at one point, a nearly invincible stripper fighting off two cops. So, lots of stuff to like. And honestly, it's kind of interesting with the stripper club scene. They really ended up keeping that pretty tame, all things considered. In the feature, you get a lot of just blink and you miss them type roles, like Clu Gulager, Lin Shaye, Danny Trejo. The dancer is played by the actress who played Quinn in Arena, the Charles Band movie from a couple years later. Let me get her name, just because that drove me a little nutty. And she gets third bill, which is kind of ridiculous, but Claudia Christian. So, big on Battlestar... No, I'm sorry, not Battlestar Galactica. Babylon 5. So, a lot of stuff for genre fans. As I say, the movie really runs at a fast clip, and I appreciate the direction. I appreciate Kyle MacLachlan kind of jumps from cocky, like, person portraying a, and then going portraying confidence, and then back to the just kind of a stunted child from Blue Velvet the year prior, David Lynch. So there's just a lot of charm to this movie, I found. Again, the violence is pretty solid in it. If anything, I guess you have bits, though, where there are just cringe dialogue moments. Because I don't want to give the twist away, but I think it's a one that pretty much easy to find. I mean, it's what the Hidden 2 is based on, is that Kyle is an alien, so he's got those moments where it's like, he just can't act human. So maybe a remake with Alan Tudyk. Just throwing it out there. But yeah, and you do also get like throwbacks to The Thing at some point. So even that kind of paranoia comes into play a little later in the film. But, you know, it wants to catch you off guard. And I think my thought of a tribute to The Thing is not a spoiler, but it should intrigue you at least. So definitely, I would say a must watch. It's not a perfect movie because, as I say, you just have some cringy dialogue in there. But otherwise, you know, seeing bits where you have the second person possessed, dealing with his own health issues while listening to metal and driving fast cars is just silly fun. And I think it's just a better, like, I would compare it when it comes to the violence and such, maybe to Commando. Not as extreme by any stretch of the imagination, but I would say in the sense that it very much pays off when you get it. So, fun action science fiction movie, and I would say if you're in the genre cinema, a must watch.
We've had a doozy of a day. A real doozy.
Alright, I'm back to conclude what's going to happen, basically, on the next few weeks of I Dig Crazy Flicks presents 90 for Chill, the podcast with Cat Plus Russ. So, I did, taking a breather and such, go through and finally found all those business cards. Some other people I'd like to mention. I did buy Ray's Survival Guide by Jason Fry. He's at Jason C. Fry on Instagram. I had to tag him today as I posted my Good Pods episode, or tried to share the Good Pods version of the bonus episode. Facebook, again, I wish I would not have let Keith, now that, getting Keith Sutherland to curse, that was just, so good. But I really want to curse Meta, so. Other places, Bob's Spicy World have their card. Liquid Octopus. That's Chris Teat. She does I believe it's her. They do the Designer Bite Company, where they create custom teeth for you. So check out their website, liquidoctopus.com, and you can get them to make some affordable teeth for you. We're talking under $50, so pretty nice. And I do have to mention, I got some patches and some stickers from Whiskey Kitty. Patches that say, like, Hail Kitten and Scratch Nazis. And some stickers with cats basically saying Nazi punks F off. So, lots of fun stuff there. So, I also ran across Chris Bird. She was on the V for Vendetta panel, and talk about a little art with her. And the only bad thing coming out of this for certain is I don't know where I stand with Gregory Carl, and his humor on Facebook's getting worse, so maybe he's just having issues. Alright, so talking about all the stuff I bought. Alright, that leads us to just the panels for Sunday, which was my focus. I got took a Lyft after I finished my last one to the airport, wait around there a few hours, dealing with, I'm going to be sharing a plane with at least 2 under 18 amateur basketball teams. The space they're going to take up. And I was kind of curious asking questions like, who's doing your ink? Because, yeah, I mean, your parents might be pretty cooler than mine. Who knows? So, the first panel I did was the Star Wars... Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was 20 years of Revenge of the Sith. And, man, this is another murderer's row of panelists. And I think I kind of warmed the crowd up beforehand because I was the first one there. So concerned about not being late. You end up being, 45 minutes early type thing. But, just warming them up. Talking about how I love saying I'm not a big kid person, essentially, when you talk about the youngling slaughter. But, yeah, I had... Again, Brian Young, the guy who writes all the collectible cards for Star Wars, his podcast partner, Holly Frey, from the Sith Happens podcast, and then another, sorry, I'm not immediately coming off their name. I know she was on I think she was on Maggie Lovett, another, I think, the editor of Collider, so... Yeah, just being a podcaster, I said I could offer hot takes. Just tried to throw in some clever lines. I think they were a little on the overly serious side. Maybe it wasn't a big enough crowd like the young Last Jedi panel I did with Brian in Indiana. So, but I did what I told him what I could offer, and just went from there. But I think Brian may have just didn't like me being, really involved in saying stuff on the Force Awakens panel. Hey, you give me a breath, I'm letting you finish your thought at least. Don't pause, I suppose, is the lesson. I hung out. But it was a fun panel, and I'm sorry if I tried downplaying one of his stories. I recorded it. They said it was fine, so that'll be a podcast. I had an hour break, slammed down a 8-inch Papa John's pizza. They didn't even bother to frickin' slice. So, yeah. Food-wise, as I say, the Peri Peri place, probably good that I ordered it fried instead of the traditional flame broiled. But who knows? I just don't know. I just think they slopped the sauce on and what have you. Great chicken and waffles, though. I mean, I really thought about, maybe I should go after eating there. Maybe I should go and, get myself, 20 tenders to bring back to the hotel. That good on Friday. Thursday was the Peri Peri. And I didn't really eat Saturday, so... So, it was going to be a long night Saturday. I walked back from the convention complex, the / Mercedes Dome, Mercedes-Benz Dome, and I still had to watch The Crow for the 1 o'clock panel, which Beiling was very interested in, getting all the details about. Ask good questions. Sorry if I did an accent attempt. Okay, 106, yeah, 1 o'clock, yep. And we'll get to that. So my next panel is the panel I got to make it on, which was 1985 Triple Threat match, where I was accompanied by, one of the people behind the V for Vendetta and the David Lynch panel from Friday, Mario DeAngelis, and I think my co-conspirator on that one may have been... I'm just going to hit the app. Hopefully it'll still work. Alright, I know it ended on... Okay, let me see. Schedule. Oh, shoot. Let's see. Alright. 1985. So, yes, it was Holly Joe McCollum and Mario DeAngelis. Holly Joe McCollum's a dark fantasy author. Mario DeAngelis is a filmmaker. And he is a guy who really missed the Canon group. He he really wished he could have worked for him. And we basically probably gave those movies a lot more time than the Commando and the Stallone offerings of Rocky 4 and Rambo First Blood Part 2. I may have gotten a little heat for saying Chuck Norris was not a good martial artist. I meant he's not a good martial artist on screen. Come on, his best work, and maybe I really need to investigate his 70s stuff, was probably Sidekicks. At least showing off his martial arts, since Return of the Dragon. So, yeah. And, I can get into politics and all that stuff. But we had a lot of fun, and it was not a large crowd. We had 3 people from the beginning, and they stuck around. Crowd coming in for the next panel. And we were the furthest out panel, too. But I think it was successful. Had a lot of fun, and we'll get into that. That was definitely going to be a podcast. And then I immediately had to run to room 106 at 1 p.m. to do the Crow fan panel. And that's when management told me and the other person assigned to the panel, probably the one who recommended it, pitched it, 30 Years of the Crow, Phaedra Black. So we got the top billing, Russ Stevens and Phaedra Black. Then we were accompanied by the creator of the comic book, James O'Barr, Bai Ling, the actress who played Micah, Rochelle Davis, the actress who played Sarah, and Lawrence Mason, the actor who played Tintin. So we were basically told, this is you better make sure they get a chance to say everything they need to promote at the end of the panel. And Phaedra and I were just looked at each other. Okay, what are we gonna do? And we basically assigned her. She just okay, you go and ask you got a mic. You go ask the questions. And we'll let it's the fans panel. It's their panel, and we went from there. They all said I could record, so that's So it's definitely going to be a podcast. I will deal with the cease and desist letters after that one is done and in the can. So that, I don't want to give much away about that one, obviously. I could have made an ass of myself more times than I did. I did get a fired up chant going. And that was the reason why it was a late night, because I had to rewatch The Crow thinking I had to be an expert. And, regarding the $1.99 purchase I made of The Crow 2024, because everybody on the panel basically said that's not a thing. And they will get into that on the podcast. Otherwise, I did try to say, somebody asked about the soundtrack, and I just basically said, look, nobody knew the artist on it. It's like, all right, I saw Bowie in Nine Inch Nails open for Bowie, so that's not true, but this is I had to throw that in there. But, and I got a little mushy at the end, because I ended up, Phaedra couldn't really figure out a way to close it, so she just gave me the mic, and I just jumped in, and, so many things I wanted to talk about, lots of notes, but, I get to be in the panel photo, they invited me in, to, be arm around, it was, man, it was surreal, arm around James O'Barr, on top of the selfies I got with Bai Ling the day prior, and again, she is quite a character, so, I'm gonna be nervous, I'm a shy guy, I guess, when those pics I finally put out. So I know that basically I got too much content coming up that it makes the day 3 very much a thing I really don't want to talk too much about. I had a great time, obviously, and who knows, this could be bigger and better things for the podcast. Right now, I'm just waiting on Fan Expo to tell me if I'm on the card or I'm not. Fan Expo in Chicago. I just need to know so I can buy my Ewan McGregor ticket. So, but yeah, lots of fun. I apologize to the Star Wars panelists who may have thought I was just too much of a... maybe I'm not in tune with the Force as much as they are. But everybody was very cool, at least very professional, let's just say that. And, oh, great, my hard drive popped off. The portable one. So, yeah, I mean, I'm still, overwhelmed with the experience, I suppose. And thank you, Atlanta Comic Convention, for inviting me. Thank you, FanX. Thank you, Ryan Call. And, yeah, I think I can just get to the formalities and might get to my movie by 12:30. So, if you want to help the podcast out, first off, rate and subscribe on your favorite podcast apps. 5-star reviews, preferably. Be as honest as you'd like in the comments. I will learn from them and make this a better show for everybody. You can also, help me out financially through Patreon. Patreon.com/IDigCrazyFlix. All I'm looking for right now is $3 a month. That will get you a shout out on each episode as long as you're subscribed, and maybe longer if I don't check the feeds out constantly. But you also get a waterproof sticker that I put on all my water bottles to promote the pod at my jobs. And sorry, I'm just really exhausted now. Going on for nearly an hour. Sorry, had to chug some Crystal Light. And you get access on patreon.com/IDigCrazyFlix if you're a subscriber, $3 a month, to the original Podbean feed. So see me develop as a podcaster if you're a little nostalgic or just can't wait for these episodes to get back into the rotation. So that's patreon.com/IDigCrazyFlix. If you're not going to do it for me, do it for Ava the Queen Kitty. $3 a month. That's 3 tins of cat food. She's getting 6 right now, thanks to the internet. That's about a week for her. So let's make it a month, all right? So, and let me thank my Patreon members. That's Tim Bates. He's a friend of the show. He's been on the Arena and Night of the Demons episodes. You can find them on this feed. And my good friend from the AAW wrestling promotion, a former backstage interviewer there, a former contributor to the Wrestling Compadre Slamcast, the Scoop Staley. And you know what? This podcast would not be made possible without the love and support of Cindy and David Stevens, my parents, Rory Stevens, the poetic critic, and Allie Higgins, she takes care of Ava when I'm on the road. And let me thank Danny Daniels for believing me, and Stephanie Smith for doing her damnedest to get me from trying to make a living bumping and getting further concussed. I'll make a soundbite for that. It's in my notes. And more importantly to me, sorry, but I think it reigns true. Thank you, Station Marie Harden, for keeping an eye on me, keeping me out of the bad trouble, trying to point me to the right kind of trouble. And I hope you're first off, I hope you're doing that for everybody else you touched in your life. And I hope you're squeezing the ectoplasm out of the most jellicle of kitties, Skimble Shanks, the one-eared angel. So, thanks for checking out I Dig Crazy Flicks, presents 90 for Chill, the podcast with Cat Bus Russ. I hope you enjoyed my discussion about ATL Convention. ATL Comic Convention. We just got to agree on some simple wording, I suppose. thank you, FanX, and I'm looking forward to next year. And yeah, just thank you, everybody out there. You know I'm not getting a lot of money for this podcast, obviously, but I know, as I say, thanks, Mom and Dad, thanks Rory, thanks Allie, thanks Danny, thanks Stephanie for just believing in me. So have yourselves a good day, night, what have you, and we'll be back next week. I think it's going to be a Rewind Wednesday. I'm still going to work with the schedule, though, because, again, Fan Expo is a month away. So, Fan Expo Chicago, I should say, in Rosemont. So, thanks again, and have yourselves a good whatever.
Can I hear a wahoo?